Hi, everybody. This is Erica from In the Company of Cards. Back again on a Friday. Welcome if you're new, if you've been here before. Welcome back. This is where I use the card system Lenormand to look at the issues of the day. Um, Thank you if you have liked, shared, subscribed, hyped, what else? Commented. Commenting is great. I love that. And I read all the comments. So thank you so much. So let me say, so I don't forget, that I am going to be doing a live for town hall members of my community, and that will be tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific time, which of course is 7 p.m. Eastern time. And you can do the math to figure out when it is your time. If you want to join, there's a join button there, and you can join for a month, and then if it's not your thing, don't re-up. Um, but it's a way for us to talk live in a smaller community, and hopefully I can use my cards to answer some of your questions. Not personal questions, obviously, but the kinds of questions that we all have. So, thank you for being here. A few things I wanted to look at. So we know that the felon and Mamdani had a meeting today in the Oval Office, and I saw the aftermath where the felon was seated. Given his weakened condition, that makes sense that he would be seated. I thought it was a little odd that Mamdani had to sort of stand sentry to the left of him or the right of him or wherever he was standing next to him. But they always say that the felon listens to whoever is last in his ear. And when that press conference happened after the two men had met alone together, obviously Mamdani had been the last one in his ear. And it looked like it had been, I will say, a good conversation. It looked like Mamdani stayed true to his himself and his positions. And the felon was kind of, here's a little alliteration, the felon seemed fawning, which is fascinating. So clearly, the word on the street is that he was so fawning because he likes winners. He himself, of course, of late is not one, but he admires winners. Now, it's not to say that as soon as that press conference was over, he didn't go to Truth Social and call Mamdani everything but a child of God, but I haven't seen that. So I just want to know, you know, the felon is great at selling wolf tickets, and which is an old expression for, you know, um, threatening, and he has certainly threatened um, cities that are sanctuary cities and states that are blue, and New York is no exception. But we know that he loves New York. We know that he said the one job I wish I had, this is the felon talking, was mayor of New York. Because I lived in New York when he was a big real estate guy. And I will say that, he always, yes, he had a lot of money, or purported to have a lot of money. But I would say that New York, old money society, never accepted him the way that he would like to have been accepted. And so I think that he thinks that Mamdani has some sort of magic sauce that might rub off on him, because he really, part of his narcissism is that he needs to be adored and admired. And New York, I don't know that I would say that they ever adored him, but they definitely hate his guts now. And he would love to be able to be loved and admired by New Yorkers, especially that old money. And is Mamdani, does he think Mamdani is a means to that end? I don't think he is, but does the felon think that? So I just want to know how New York will fare um, with Mamdani at the helm and the felon in the White House. You know, uh, will New York meet the same fate as Chicago or in LA, right? That the felon is convinced is overrun by Antifa, which is not even a thing. But anyway, how will the city fare? So I think I'll use the garden, and this time the garden is specifically for New York. How will they fare? And I really mean the city. We know there's no love lost between the felon and the governor, the Democratic governor, Kathy Hochul of New York. But the city is its own thing, you know. Um, if you're from the city or you spend any time there, you understand that the city is is a specific thing. And lots of times New Yorkers, when they say the city, they really mean Manhattan. But I would just like to know how will New York City fare? We'll include the outer boroughs, as they're called. How will they fare under Mamdani in relation to the felon? Like, for example, will they get the aid that they ask for? Will ICE um, be kept from overrunning the city in the way that other cities have not been able to get rid of it? Okay, so we're going to use the garden that will stand for New York City, and we're looking at how they will fare under Mamdani with the felon as the president. Remember, we're looking for the garden. Before I proceed, a viewer said to me in the comments, "Where have you been? You haven't been on in weeks." Well, yeah, I actually have been on. So if you are not getting notifications, hit the notification bell. Make sure that you are still subscribed because occasionally YouTube will do sort of a purge of people. I don't know algorithmically what that's all about, but just check to make sure that you are still subscribed. Hit the notification bell so that you're notified when I come on or when I put up a new video. And because I'm here, 4 or 5 days a week. Okay. All right. So let's look. New York. Okay. So we have the anchor, we have the rider, we have the garden, which is standing for the city of New York. We have the tree, and we have the cross. That's really interesting. So, you know, the anchor, you remember it's an oxymoronic nautical tool, right? An anchor can keep you stuck or an anchor can keep you safe. Uh, I think right now they are safe. That is the message you should take away from this Oval Office meeting between Mamdani and the felon. Uh, the felon charmed, um, well, Mamdani charmed the felon, and the felon decided to um, put on his charming narcissistic suit. So for the moment, they're fine. But I will say that, we've got the garden in the middle. I will say that these two interest me, the tree and the cross. And here's why. We know that there is apparently a flu strain out there that has not been accounted for it, meaning that even if you got a flu shot, this new flu strain will not help you with that. It might help you. It might make the symptoms less, but it's not formulated. The flu shot that you are getting or that you got is not formulated to handle that new strain. Not to mention, COVID is still a thing. And, I don't know about you, but I lived on the East Coast. I was in New Jersey during COVID and, remember the refrigerated trucks in the city. Should health become an issue in the city? Uh, I don't I don't see the felon being as helpful as we would like to think that he is. I don't think that's specific to the city. I think that is just due to the ineptitude of the felon and his Health and Human Services uh, department, led by the worm-addled RFK Jr., as well as the decimation of, organizations like FEMA. So, um, hopefully, as long as health doesn't become an issue, New York should be okay. Now, here's the garden. This is standing for the city of New York. We have the scale, the heart, and the mice. So, right now, everything is copacetic. It was quite the love fest. Again, with Mamdani not giving an inch, I don't think, being direct about his concern being affordability, which is one of the words that the felon thinks is so hysterically funny. But Mamdani has said affordability of housing and of food and of childcare and of transportation. Those are his concerns. So right now they're kind of on the same page technically, but it looks as though this love bombing that the felon did at the news conference after their meeting will be eroded. It'll be eroded. I think that this is sort of a momentary uh, meeting of minds, momentary truce, but I don't know that it will last. Now, we have the tree, and I pulled clarifiers on that. We have the star, we have the lily, and we have the key. So again, as long as health is not an issue, health in terms of, again, massive flu outbreak, massive COVID outbreak, that kind of thing, as long as things stay okay moving forward, then everything will be all right. I mean, um, there might be sniping back and forth, but I don't see the Fallon hopping on New York in the way that he's hopped on places like Chicago and LA. This card though is concerning. Now, the clarifiers are the moon, a house, and the tower. I'm going to say that one of the meanings of this card is um, sacrifice. And, in any negotiation, you have to give to get. So Mamdani may be walking, a tightrope with this guy so as to not tip him over the edge. And I think that that will prove really unfun for Mamdani. But Mamdani knows what he's doing. He's a smart young guy. Uh, Now, the moon is about reputation. And he really has to do a balancing act, Mamdani, to keep the good, um, to stay in the good books, I'll just say, of the felon who lives in the White House, the part that's not torn down. Uh, I can mirror this tower card with the cross. I just think when you govern, um, it's concession, it's consensus. It's, nobody gets everything they want. But I think Mamdani will do a good job, robbing Peter to pay Paul, and will look out for the city. Um, And making this good impression on the felon was very helpful. So I can mirror this last card, which is the anchor, with the tower. And I actually like this. This seems like solid government. And his being able to make the case, because the felon said, "Oh, there's things that we agree on. I'm all for affordability," says the felon. I'm all for, uh, whatever. So yeah, I think he really wants to be thought highly of by Mamdani, which is interesting. But that's because Mamdani, so far anyway, is a winner. And the felon likes to be around winners, especially now that he has turned into such a loser among his own base with his approval rating in the low 30s. I mean, that's kind of bad in your first term. So I think if Mamdani can walk that line of staying in the felon's good graces, but still getting what he wants out of the felon. Again, that this requires sacrifice on Mamdani's part because I'm sure he's got a few choice words for the felon. But what does everybody's mother say? You get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. I would argue, why do you want to get flies? But anyway, um, he's that's the sacrifice that Mamdani's going to have to make. But I think New York will have been well served with Mamdani at the helm because he knows how to manipulate this narcissist in chief and leave him feeling good, leave him feeling respected. Um, you know, so I think New York will be just fine. Uh, Another thing I wanted to look at. So the Department of Education, which of course is now sort of being dismantled even as we speak, um, did something pretty startling, and I don't think that the felon had anything to do with it. I think this is a Project 2025 initiative. And so what they did was, there are certain professions, certain jobs that are considered professional path jobs. And heretofore, which means up till now, if you were going to school to be trained for one of these jobs, you were considered to be on a professional path, a professional trajectory, and therefore eligible for federal student loans. Well, now a whole bunch of jobs have been removed from the or have had their professional designation removed from them. What that means is if you want to have one of these careers, good for you, but you will no longer be eligible for federal student loans. Now, what are the jobs? And then, let's talk about what this means. Nursing, physician's assistant, audiologist, hearing, architect, accountant, educator, social worker, public health, occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech and language pathology, business, engineering, counseling, and therapy. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but the first thing that I was struck by was that a lot of these professions are very women heavy. Nursing, teaching, come on. So, what do you mean you're removing their professional designation? Like, what? You need professional training in order to do these jobs. But because they have been now deemed non-professional, you cannot get a federal student loan to to finance your education. What's that all about? Now, I have my own theory, but you know, you don't want my opinion. Well, some of you do. And, most of you come to hear what Spirit has to say in the form of the cards. So, um, I guess, let's see. In the French system of reading Lenormand, and there are different schools of how to read it. There's the German system and there's the French system. And I learned the French system. And under the French system, there is a card for a job, for profession, for professional, um, career. Well, there's actually, okay, there's a card for job, and that's the fox. There's a card for career, and that is the moon. I was going to use the fox, but I'm going to use moon because, you know, a job and a career are not the same thing, right? And I would argue, as I'm sure everybody who has one of these, has followed one of these career paths would also argue, these are careers. Nursing is a career. Physician's assistant is a career. Social work is a career. Architecture is a career. We're going to use the moon as the focus card. And what I want to know is, why has the administration decided that the all this long list of professional careers that I just gave you, why they are no longer going to be designated as professional? Again, with the intention in the end of you therefore being ineligible for federal student loans. Now, they would probably argue, well, it saves us money, but it does more than that. And I want to know the more than that part. That's what I'm really asking. Okay. Obviously, if all of these people cannot get federal student loans, well, that's federal student loan money that doesn't get allocated out, right? Theoretically, that's money that stays in the coffers. Okay, but I want to know what the other reasons are, because it's probably more than one. So we're going to use the moon for careers, and we want to know about the demotion of these careers from professional status to something lesser than. Okay, so let's look for the moon and see what we get. Okay, so this stands for all of those careers that have now been kind of demoted to non-professional status. So we have Clover, we have Crossroads, we have the moon that stands for all of those jobs, all those professional pathways. We have the dog, and we have the heart. Okay. So I think the first thing that I want to say is, you know, this was done kind of fast, and you blink and it's done. Um, but you know, these careers are really important to people. They are, in large measure, helping professions. They help people. So the second card is Crossroads. And, I'm going to say about this card that these jobs have been, or these educational pathways have been pathways of upward mobility, particularly for women. particularly for women. So here's the pathway towards upward mobility, but now we're calling it less than professional. So you can't take that pathway anymore. And we'll get back to that when we look at the clarifiers. I do think this will be something that can be litigated. I really do. Uh, and you'll see more about that later. But, you know, so, okay, we go back to the clover and we have the snake, the young man, and the coffin. Okay. So again, this was done quick, fast, and in a hurry. There is something really insidious about this. Evil, I would go so far as to say. It is part of um, the bro culture 20, Project 2025 um, intention of having men rule and women, um, barefoot and pregnant being trad wives or whatever. Uh, and it's meant to end this what was really kind of something good, something fortunate, right? That you could follow one of these career paths and get student loans and live a good life. Well, they want to end that. And they want to end that because, again, these are these men. These are these incel type Project 2025 men who believe that women should not be in the workplace at all. And as if I couldn't see that in that line, let's look at the second line. So remember what I said about crossroads. This was a pathway to upward mobility, to a middle class, upper middle class life, some of these professions. I mean, architect, you know, uh, engineering. Are you kidding me? Nursing, physician's assistant. So, what is it meant to do, this new designation? To put roadblocks up in front of women before they even know what hit them. This is stuff done kind of hidden. They're not making a big announcement about this from the Oval Office or anything, nor is Caroline Levitt announcing this. They just kind of did it on the DL, which is on the down low, which means in a sneaky way. But the point of it is to block women from these pathways. In the center, we have these careers, and the clarifiers are scales, the cross, and the birds. So these careers were really a way of leveling the playing field economically, right? Just and equitable. But look, they want to end it. And it's not just one person doing this. This is done by committee. This is Project 2025. It's one of the planks in their platform. They got together and they, you know, talked about this. Now, I will say that I don't think that they're going to succeed because this is also my card for the Supreme Court. And I do think this will be litigated. So I don't know. Let's move forward and see what happens. So then we have the dog, which are lawyers, but also all of these helping professions. The clarifiers are the sun, the ring, and the rider. We need people to do these jobs. They can't do these jobs if they can't afford to go to school to do these jobs. And you can't tell me that men are going to be banging down the door to get those jobs. So I think it will become quite clear quite soon, quite clear, that things need to go back the way they were. That, we need to go back to what the tradition has been, which is that these are considered professional career paths and that they should qualify for federal student loan assistance. Lawyers will argue that. And then we have the final card, the heart, the ship, the felon, and mice. I think this will go back to the way it was once the felon is felled by heart issues. Now, again, the felon will be felled, but Project 2025 won't be felled because we will have, you know, Vance, who is the handmaiden of the Project 2025 authors, like Peter Thiel and, um, Curtis Yarvin and all of these kinds of people. But I think that their short-lived victory, short-lived, will be eroded. It's kind of like how, at least in California here, a lot of people who do construction work were Hispanic. And then when ICE started to roam around, there's all these projects that cannot be completed because they don't have the workers to complete them. So I think they will see soon the error of their ways, and I think this will be rectified. I do think this will be rectified. Much as you saw that the Coast Guard for a minute was saying that, you could fly swastikas, you could do, that it was fine. Well, now they've reneged on that. I think they float a lot of trial balloons and then they end up having to backtrack. I think this is one of those things they're going to have to backtrack on. But it is a really blatant attempt, a misogynistic attempt to, and not just misogynistic, I think, of course, it's racist as well, like the getting rid of DEI, which was both misogynistic and racist. It's just another arm of that. And I think this ship will be righted in time. But don't ignore it, don't sleep on it. These careers are now considered not professional. So, if you're thinking about whether or not you want to participate in the economic blackout, seems to me this is just another reason to participate in it, to make known the fact that we're not pleased with everything that they're trying to do. All right. Uh, Something else I thought I would look at has to do with Marjorie Taylor Green. I wasn't going to talk about this, but I was going to write a Substack, and I may still write a Substack piece on this. If you're not following me on Substack, my Substack is called In the Company of Cards. It has nothing to do with YouTube, but it's a writer's platform, and so I write there once a week. Anyway, I may do an article on that, but I thought, my platform here is bigger, and I just wanted to throw this out. So we know now that Marjorie Taylor Greene is getting all of these flowers for being stalwart in defying the felon and supporting the women who were abused by Epstein. And that's great. I think everybody deserves their flowers. I do want to comment, however, before Marjorie Taylor Greene stuck her hoof into this water, there were other women who championed these women. And who were they? Oh, I don't know. People like Ayanna Pressley, people like AOC, people like Jasmine Crockett. Now, you know, one of these things is not like the other. This is, some of you may say, what? And you won't want to, you'll probably click off. And you know what? That's okay. I hope not. But I'm just going to say what I think. I think that First of all, Marjorie was mad because Trump would not support her bid for either governor of Georgia nor for Senate. He says it's because he looked at her poll numbers and there's no way she could win. And remember, he doesn't like losers, even though he is one. He only likes winners. And so he didn't support her. And she got her feelings hurt. But when you dig into her history and her language, um, I'm going to say she's a raving racist. And I think that she did a cost benefit analysis. Even though these other women whom I mentioned, right, Presley, Crockett, AOC, even though these women championed these victims, the victims never seemed to kind of glom on to these women. And I'm going to say too that these women, by and large, are white women. I had a viewer, a black viewer, who said on my comment section a couple of videos ago, they were like, why did these women ever say no? Did they ever say stop? Did they ever complain to anyone? Did they ever, And I'm sure that they did. I'm sure that they did. But I will also say that white women are acculturated differently than black women. Uh, for example, there's a Instagrammer, and she's right. The black women in the South, especially, are acculturated. White women are acculturated to have as their objective being perceived as being sweet and nice and agreeable and non-complaining and compliant to, well, everybody. Black women are not acculturated this way. Now, I'm going to say that the reason that there were not, I think there's maybe one I've seen black woman, light-skinned, curly hair, um, in that group of victims. A lot of the reason is the fact that they were not black women were not Jeffrey's taste, nor were they his client's taste. Thank you, uh, sweet baby Jesus and the big one too. That's why you see, when you see them all grouped together, they're mostly white women with some Hispanic women in there. And I think that Marjorie made a calculation. I think she thought, I see my fellow lawmakers, Presley, AOC, Crockett, speaking up for these white women, but they need a white woman champion. And I'm it. Day late and a dollar short, but I'm it. And these women are more than happy to have Marjorie Taylor Green represent them in a way that they didn't really seem to with the other women. Hmm, what's up with that? I've said this before. There are conversations that need to be had between black and white women. And, you know, those of us who are black, we're drinking our water and minding our business, even though I do come up for air occasionally and say these things on here. But we black women know that white women, as a rule, are really not in the mood for these kind of conversations. They're hard and they're unpleasant, but they're necessary. So, please feel free to add your 2 cents in my comment section. I would be happy to read it. If you are part of my town hall, we can talk about this tomorrow in the live if you'd like. But I think I would like to look at Marjorie Taylor Greene's motivations. I think obviously this her championing of these women gives her an even broader platform, makes her a more sympathetic figure, because she does want to run for governor or for senator of Georgia in time. But I also think she saw an opportunity that these white women would appreciate her in a way that they don't appreciate the women who came before her to champion them. And I think that that's why she's saying what she's saying. She she hates black women. She has said horrible things about black women. Look at her record. I'm not making that part up at all. Oh, I'm not making any of this up. But I don't want us to get confused and think that she has had a you know, a Saul of Tarsus, Damascus moment where, he got struck by, you know, lightning and was a new man. I don't think that's what happened to her. I don't think she's any different than she's ever been. I think she is calculated and calculating and using these victims, and I think they're using each other. So let's look at her motivation. I'll be nice and let her be the young woman in the deck. Sorry that she's black, Marjorie, but you'll have to get over it because all my people in my deck are black. It's just how it is. All right, that's the older one, but we're going to let her be the younger one. What is her motivation for coming forward in this way? Very late off the mark relative to other women who spoke up. Yeah, she was Trump, Trump, Trump all the way. Now she's taken a different path, right? Um, she is she's their best friend now. Here she is. And it's very, very clear that gives her a platform to be seen and to be seen as somebody out from under the felon, because she has political aspirations. This is the card for government. She's got political aspirations. Um, let's look a little bit more. Because, I mean, we don't need cards to know that. I just want to see, yeah. So I pulled cards on everything. So here she is taking this, um, this turn, 180 degrees, right, away from the felon. And now she's the champion of the women, and she is the face of the champions of these women. And because she's white and they're white, they all like that. Uh, she is shady as you know what. There are all kinds of ulterior motives here because she knows that is dead is her affiliation and access to the White House. So she's an operator. Okay, so here she is, a friend to these women, perceived that way by the whole world now, because one more time, her interaction, her association, her affiliation, her friendship, her loyalty, her fealty to the felon has been cut off because he has said he will not support her. And you heard him call her all kinds of names, which, he does. Um, yeah. So here she is in the center, and the message that she's trying to give is I am a badass. Look how brave I am. I am taking on all comers. But you know what? Interesting that the card at the end of the line is the mountain. I'm not sure that this will necessarily get her where she thinks it'll get her. But I don't know. Maybe it will. She wants to be seen. She wants her reputation to be, again, as the champion of these women. She thinks that's her key to higher office and more power. It's on the backs of these women. Here is government. Remember, she has aspirations for higher office, that being either the Senate seat in Georgia or governor. And the clarifiers are the lily, the cross, and the bear. You know what I think? I think she thinks she's got it made in the shade, that this is her ticket. But you know what I also think? If the felon has anything to do with it, she will be blackballed for higher office. Now, the felon is losing Republican support like, a sinking ship takes on water. I mean, he's sinking fast, but he will do whatever he can to thwart her because now she's his enemy. So we'll see. I just wanted to go on record, I guess, as saying, let's not be under any illusions about who she is and what her motivations are. Mm-mm. She has not suddenly woken up on the right side of the bed and the right side of issues and the right side of justice, etc. She's the same Southern racist, uh, foul-mouthed, ugly person that she's always been. It's just that she has a cause now, and she has an enemy now, who is the felon. And she has opportunistically attached herself to these women who are equally happy to attach themselves to her. Another white woman. I'm just saying, watch her. All right, I think that's it. Sorry to leave us on such a sour note, but forewarned is forearmed, right? So tomorrow I'll be doing that town hall for the live for my town hall level members. We can talk about this or whatever you'd like. That'll be 4 p.m. on tomorrow, Saturday. So we'll be together for about an hour. I think I set it up all the right way so that those of you who are town hall members will have received notification. Um, yeah, and everybody else, I may or may not come on and do a short video, probably not. I do have a guest on Sunday that I hope you will enjoy. Um, a little bit of relief from politics, and this is someone who's been a friend of mine for a long time, and we will be looking at a divination method that she has really raised to quite the art form. Um, and so that will be Sunday. But anyway, at any rate, I will see you very soon. Please do make sure that you are still subscribed and make sure you hit the notification button so that you get notified when I put a video up. I would love it if you'd hype the video, and I love when you make comments because I do read all of the comments and really appreciate them. So thank you all, and I will see you very soon. Take care.